I'm Jessica Ann Pressler, and you've tuned into Your Traitor Within, a podcast that exposes the brutal truths of healing, self discovery, and breaking free from relentless patterns of self sabotage. Felicity Nicole established She Is You, a brand dedicated to supporting midlife women in their journeys of transformation and healing. She is the author of the memoir Pieces of Me, which explores her experiences growing up in a dysfunctional, abusive family and enduring an abusive marriage. Her determination enabled her to reinvent herself as an author, speaker, and spiritual healer and mentor, assisting others in similar circumstances. Felicity is recognized for her humanitarian work and is passionate about empowering women and engaging in community outreach.
I'm so excited to be here, Jessica. Thank you so much.
I am so happy to have you here. I read your book, although it's been a few months now, and I know I read what you have endured. I know that you have speaking even after the book about what you're going through, and as I say, when I help people, I do so through experience and knowledge. I think you do as well.
I do, yes. It's the wisdom that we gain through our experience.
Mhm.
That's why I say I'm kind of a master magician or an alchemist, because over the years, through my healing journey, I've managed to turn all that pain through the
Mhm.
healing process into a purpose. And that is, like you stated earlier, humanitarian work, helping others.
So when we talk about our traitor within, that's the part of us that may have allowed behavior per se, but we're still manipulated, we're still abused, and it is never the fault of the victim. So I want to be very clear as you tell your story, and I thank you ahead of time of your vulnerability and telling your story.
Absolutely. Um, I am a childhood trauma domestic violence survivor. I witnessed my father attempt to, I would say, murder or kill my mother at the age of 10. I grew up, yes, we grew up on this little 1,000 square foot home built on railroad ties with worn out floors. And I remember at that moment when I heard the ashtray crack and hit the floor and my mom screaming, I wouldn't see my father for a good 12 to 13 years because he ran into the room, ignored all three of us, my brothers and myself, blood splattered all over his shirt, grabbed a bag, and would hightail it out and disappear.
Wow.
Yes, yes, my,
Right.
yes. And my mother, God bless her, would cope with working full time, and cigarettes and coffee were her vices, but she shut down emotionally, which
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, we had to learn how to cope.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, Jessica?
Yes, that's right.
We, yeah, but we weren't taught the proper skills through therapy and things like that. So the three of us were so close in age, we developed unhealthy coping mechanisms through lashing out at one another,
Mm.
verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, and the sense that maybe the boys, we may start off as wrestling, but the next, I'm like really being physically abused.
Where were you in the order of?
So I am the middle child, and in the archetype, my mother was semi-narcissistic. I was groomed into the child that was going to go nowhere, down to where my high school deans would tell my mother, Felicity is not going to go anywhere. Yes, and I fit that role quite well when you're groomed into that. And I speak about that, the archetypes that we have in our family systems. And those are the traitors
Yes.
within, yes.
Mhm.
So my little 10-year-old, Wheezy, would grow up and develop these coping skills of being shy, becoming a people pleaser.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Just doing whatever she could to leech on to anybody that showed her
Mhm.
semi affection.
Yes.
We just attach ourselves to anything that gives us an emotion, as unhealthy as that is. Nobody taught me to fill myself up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, I
And
want to
that
hug that child and that.
I do. I tell her all the time. I have a bedroom dedicated specifically for her.
Wow, what a
I
great.
do. Yes. There's dolls, and it's just a little girl room. And one thing that that I discuss as a healer, is that we have to reparent when we go through the healing process. Because when we discover that traitor, the one that's going to become that self-sabotager, yes, and ruin every opportunity that could be possibly good and or bad, just because we don't know any better. We have
Mhm.
to learn to reparent through love and forgiveness.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So how did she show up in your teenage years and your adult relationships
So the
besides?
teen,
Yeah.
yes, the teenage Felicity. Woo, that is one archetype that I still have to keep in check.
Hmm.
Yes, she's boy crazy. She wants to self-sabotage everything and anything that's coming good into my life. So
Hmm.
here I am as the adult, the professional, and I've got really good things coming into my life. Oh no, she wants to rock the boat. And I have to constantly remind myself, you take the back seat. I'm going to show you how an adult does things. So actually, I've got really great friends that understand my healing journey, and
Hmm.
they will do things specifically with me so I can teach her. So yes.
So you have an awareness. So you know when you're being triggered. You know when the traitor wants to show up and swoop in, maybe with good intentions, but obviously self-sabotaging and causing bad outcomes. So when that happens, do you call a friend? Because you said your friends come in, or do your friends notice? How does that happen? How do you change that dynamic?
Since I can recognize the trigger, I can just take a step back
Hmm.
and just kind of talk to myself internally and just say, little internal dialogue. Felicity, I'm going to teach you. Let
Hmm.
me teach you how a man should show up for you. And that's where I'll pick up the phone and be one of my very safe male friends. I can say, can we go out on a date?
Hmm.
Just, yes, a safe date, a fun date, just to teach her the expectation of how a man should treat a woman. This
Wow.
is 47 people. Yes.
But wonderful, wonderful that you have, it doesn't matter when that you have come to this and now you're teaching others, right?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
for yourself, but this awareness, but the traitor within doesn't always, we can't always expect that we're going to get rid of the traitor within. She's kind of put into the closet or she's put into the garage or whatever way, if it's a she, a he, a they, whatever, however we call that inner voice or that part of us. But they're there still.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I love that you have this, awareness of her. If it's a her, I don't know how you call it a her,
It's
but
a her.
awareness of her, and then a strategy of how to take care of her to keep you safe now because she wasn't keeping you safe in your adult years, clearly.
No.
And then a support system that you safely call out. I mean, it's wonderful that you've set up this network to
Yes.
keep her in check.
It's my safety net, my security.
It's wonderful because we
Yeah.
don't always have to do everything on our own, right? We can
No, we don't.
and your ability to trust others is wonderful to know that they have your back or this person has your back.
Trust is a big one, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, trust is a big one when you have been through a life like I've been through. To repeat that pattern that my mother was in. Do you understand? Like yes, so we repeated that pattern, and trust is big, but if you can't trust yourself,
Hmm.
your inner self, your inner masculine, who, who are you going to trust?
Hmm.
Yeah, it really starts, everything starts from within.
But the person that you're trusting is the person beyond the traitor. You have to
Mhm.
you have to move the traitor aside to get to that person that,
Yes.
as you, so you said, so you saw some, uh, you have a marriage. I don't know if you can tell me uh, many abusive relationships. This one marriage. How did she play out in this? Because I know you talked about in your marriage. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? please.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So I was married for about 10 or 11 years to an alcoholic. And so she followed her mother's pattern, and I was in a domestic violent marriage. I learned to pretend, right, and be quiet and disappear because that was a coping skill when things got rocky.
Mhm.
I had a child, so we would both hide per se or pretend, become invisible. But the toxic, my one archetype that wants to rock the boat and self-sabotage would come out in that, and this is where I completely am transparent, would come out in that vicious way.
Mhm.
So he attacks, I attack. He attacks, I attack. And it's just that cycle of abuse where then you run and you come back and then you have that honeymoon phase. It was so ridiculous. But yet again, Jessica, there was nobody in my life, which is absolutely heartbreaking, that put their hand up and said, you know what, I think we need to address this differently.
Mhm.
My family just said this, Felicity, what do you expect?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, there's a whole intergenerational trauma. Clearly, you mentioned copying your mother. I'm not sure, because we learned part of the traitor is messaging and modeling. It comes
Mm.
out of trauma, but then you're taught through what you see and what you hear to
Hmm.
make you. And then, obviously you're stopping it, so you're not passing it on to your son. I hope
Yes.
you're
Yes.
learning something,
Yes.
and you're stopping that. Which is, by the way, the best mother, in the world is because it's not easy. It's not easy to go through this. It's painful, and you've made a choice not only for yourself but clearly for your child, that you are going to show him something different.
Yes. And I think you hit the nail right on the head that it is extremely painful
Mhm.
because once you decide to really take charge of your life and break that cycle and be the one that walks away from it and begin your healing journey
Mhm.
and begin recognizing your traitors, your archetypes,
Mhm.
you're going to start to see people who aren't a fan of this. And this is where I say, as we continue to level up, people just disappear. That's God's way of just pulling people, like plucking them out of your life, which could be very emotionally painful because you love them still, but you know that for emotional safety, you can't be around them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have big boundaries, either small emotional boundaries or big boundaries, whatever it is. And I think people need to understand too that when you make those boundaries, you're doing it because you're trying to protect your emotional and physical, because it affects your body, well-being, as well as the people around you, like your son, in order to protect them. You're not doing it necessarily to punish you're doing it as self-preservation, right?
Yes. Yes. And explaining that to a 8, 9, 10 year old was a little hard at first. I think as he's maturing into a young man, he understands it a little better. He has a relationship with his cousins, and that's fantastic. I don't stop it with him. That's between him and my family. It just I know what my boundaries are.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And you still love him too. That's just it. Like I can love him.
That's right.
Yeah,
It's just a choice to keep you safe.
absolutely.
It's loving yourself enough to keep you safe. And
Yes, yes.
but having to unlearn, the people pleasing side that you talked about, or that you're supposed to be, how could you not see, anti-May? I'm just throwing that out, it's but yes, you have to. I mean, you're fighting against several traitors. I mean, the people pleasing traitor, that's, the one that you said you were quiet, that one, and then the fighting, all those different parts of you that,
Yes.
and to do so,
Yeah.
I'm wonderful, wonderful that you do that. And again, not just a gift for yourself, but a gift for your son to see, so he knows how to protect himself in the future as well.
Yes, and he's very emotionally intelligent, so he is very good with setting boundaries, as I
Mhm.
learned through his teachers.
Mhm. So what gave you, so you're in this abusive marriage, you're repeating your mother's relationship, I guess, with your father. And
Hmm.
tell me what it was like. What was the aha moment? What made you finally break free?
The aha moment. was when I saw my neighbor, who was a single mom across the street that I would watch her kids for while she worked, drop my husband off in the morning and drive into her garage. And I had to work that Saturday. And I was like, okay, this is it. I can't do this anymore. He was drunk. He we went to bed and I had to work.
Wow.
So yeah, it was painful to see that because I've opened my door and my heart. I'm a
Mhm.
very giving person. And for somebody to take advantage of that,
Mhm.
and I set my plan up. I found a house. I didn't tell my son. We couldn't tell my son, but there was a plan. And then once we did this with $47 and a 7-year-old, I texted my soon-to-be ex-husband and I said, "We moved out. We're safe. We're fine." Yeah.
Wow, so brave.
It was very courageous because when the movers came, I remember just picking a few pieces and just crying because I didn't know if I could do this. I was trusting in God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to hug you too for that and for everything.
I was trusting in God on that. I'm just like, I'm no light. I totally feel like my life has been like the book of Job. No light and just like, all right, I'm just trusting you on this. And I'm exactly where I am, where I
Hmm.
wanted to be.
Hmm.
Not necessarily divorced for a second time, but there is a reason for that as
Hmm.
well. Yeah.
And I'm assuming this divorce, also taking care of yourself and
I haven't loved, so this is a funny story.
Mhm.
Um, my girlfriends were over the other day and I told them, I said, I haven't loved myself so much.
Okay.
And they're like, I hate to say it, but I don't think you've ever loved yourself. And
Oh.
I'm like, hey, point taken. But yes, that people pleaser was so strong in that second marriage. So strong
Mhm.
and so belittled. And the self-worth was just trashed. I had to rebuild myself. And that was the little girl, once again, just coming out strong in that second marriage. Yes. So it was really teaching her, I've got you. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. I'm going to save us my way.
She needs you. She needs
Yes.
to hide
Yeah.
her. She didn't have
Yes.
that she needed. So she needs,
Yes.
yeah.
So the first time in 40 some years, I chose myself and I walked away. Yeah.
Again, very brave.
Yes. 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 To embark on a new journey, new season.
Well, I definitely feel sometimes, depending on, but it sounds like you, I feel this about myself, but we have many chapters in our lives and
Yes.
the chapter, but with each chapter, new growth
Absolutely.
that even
Absolutely.
I definitely believe there is grieving that needs to occur, but, but moving forward, new growth, new things on the horizon, right?
Yes, yes, there was definitely a lot of grieving. I do suffer from complex PTSD. I write about that in my book. That did come out. So I did have a really good support system that checked on me, made sure that I was eating.
Mhm.
Yes, because I just PTSD alone, you just freeze, and I just froze. So I couldn't function. I had to let everything go for a little bit while I got through this because this was a big transformation. This was God truly having me surrender fully into his world. And I've done a really big level up and I really look forward to what is coming ahead because she's ready to come out. Like she's ready to come out.
Mhm. No, it's wonderful. I can see it in you, and it's
Yes.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. So what do you see in your future then? What do you?
I speaking. I'm on a stage. I'm sharing my story. I'm currently working on it as we speak with a coach. My story is medicine for anybody who hasn't faced their own trauma and or dysfunction, their healing journey, however you want to say it. We can package it out in many different ways. But that's what my story, that's the goal, is to speak. Is obviously I'm writing another book and I'm working on my master's, and I'm going to turn my first book into a movie.
Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations.
Yes.
Oh, that's
We speak that into existence. So yes, I am still working on the back end on that.
I do remember your story. It would be a very wonderful movie with a lot of emotion. It's
Yes.
but a movie that teaches as well.
I think so too. I do. I think it could be done eloquently enough to where it's completely respectable for all parties involved and just focused on the growth and the
No, but I love that because it's another way of reaching people.
it is.
You were through the book, the movie, speaking out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of women, and I will say a lot of men. I have men clients as well too. They haven't faced. We stuff. We cope with unhealthy habits,
Mhm. That's right.
alcoholism, sex addiction. I work with it. I see it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, did you have a therapist at all help you through this process, or
I do. I have two therapists. I've got a shaman. I have holistic healers, acupuncture. I've worked with many different people with many different modalities because trauma is just stored in your body. Yeah.
Mhm. And so how would you recommend, what would you recommend to someone who comes in your door? What do you and says, I've had this childhood, and they explain their childhood and it's affecting my life now. What do you do with them? What do you advise? How do you work with them?
Yes, I we'll do a little bit of play therapy just to kind of get them connected to that child, but I also have psychotherapists on staff that will begin working with them one on one. I'm the more creative and I do the healing work, which is the energy healing, the shamanic healing. And then I've got the acupuncturist. I've got a DO on staff where we'll get acupuncture and we'll do some somatic healing. But I love creative play when it comes to connecting to your inner child. Yes.
Love your holistic approach,
Yes.
really. And absolutely trauma is in one's body. So
Hmm.
ignore that. It does a disservice to a person. And so you do it all. You
Yeah.
together, and that's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think the goal is just to be in alignment, just to heal, be in alignment, and be at peace internally with yourself.
Mhm.
Stop fighting that
Mhm.
one, you're just fighting yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When that piece, that traitor within pops up now, if
Yes.
I understand correctly, if it, at least when it comes up with men, you will call your friend or you'll call your friends and they'll help you. I used to say, I'm not saying you're saying this, but I used to say when I called my friends, it was keeping me off the ledge or whatever that they were you were, I mean, I would panic. I'm not sure if you're feeling panic when it happens or you just realize what your traitor is doing, but you call your friend. And now, does your traitor within pop up any other time, or is it only with men? It's only with how you.
I love what you're saying because you're reading my mind. So yes, that anxious attachment will still pop up with men. And I love it because I'm really learning to lean in on detachment. Yes. And self-soothing coping
Mhm.
skills. So I'm not so codependent on my system.
Mhm.
Because they have lives too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't like this is what's happening now just because and I've just got to tell you, like, I've learned to just enjoy. You have to enjoy your own company, right? So that's really what it's about, is just enjoying my own company, the self-coping skills,
Hmm.
self-soothing, realizing that rejection is really God's protection.
Interesting. Can you explain what you mean when you say that?
Yeah. So, for instance, I was rejected. I was actually rejected beautifully over the weekend by, I will say, um, a gentleman in Chicago that holds a first responders position. And we were chatting, and I told him what I was looking for. He told me what he was looking for. And he came back and he says, "You're playing checkers. I'm playing, or he goes, "You're playing chess. I'm playing checkers. I think I'm going to stay in my own lane. And I got to tell you, you're beautiful. You're strong. I'm really impressed. I wish you the best of luck." And I had to thank him for that.
Yeah.
I said, "Thank you. This is the first time somebody with maturity showed
Yeah.
up to the table."
He showed respect. He
Yes.
showed kindness. He
Yes.
very flatter, everything.
Yes. Yeah. And I said, "I wish you all the best." Yes. And
Right.
that was wonderful.
Because, you say the word rejection, but it's really just a recognizing the differences.
Absolutely.
It's just that
Yeah.
we're at different places, and it's not really about you per se. It's about, him and what his desires and needs are. And like you said, he said it in a very
Yes.
perfect. Oh, yeah, interesting.
Yes. And it was also too,
And how did you receive it? Because it sounds like you received it. It didn't hit you in a,
no,
yeah, which is wonderful.
I actually, and I didn't want to praise him and say I'm proud because I didn't want to demasculate him, but I knew immediately this is a man that's been doing the healing work, that's
Yeah.
been working on his own self. And I didn't personalize it at all. And I just said, "Thank you,
Yeah.
you know,
Now,
for coming." Yeah.
there have been a time in your life where it would have hit you more painfully, or was this, or did the, okay.
I think so. I think if I look back a couple years,
Mhm.
because if I even going through the Pieces of Me book during a photo shoot, I was like, whoa, I was still not healed. I
Mhm.
was still not where I should be, Yeah, she would have personalized it. Yes.
So how wonderful it is, how far you've come, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So did your trader show up any other place in your life besides your romantic relationships, or that was the primary place where she showed up?
Just a primary. Just, needy, codependent, seeking that love, just latching on to anything that would give her attention. Because my second marriage, I was a ghost. God
Explain.
bless. Yes.
What does that mean, you were a ghost, when you say that?
Um, I was, no, it was emotionally unavailable type of marriage. We'll just say it that way. Love him to death, great guy, just emotionally unavailable. So I was a kept, I was not, yes, I was a kept wife, I guess you could say.
So if that was how he was, were you able to get any of your emotional needs met? Because I would assume that was the opposite of what you needed.
Absolutely. It only triggered it worse. That's where I said yes. I mean, it dug me into a hole, and that's where I had to do the deep, deep, deep work about um 2020, maybe 2020, when I really started bringing in some hardcore therapists and psychotherapists and other healers because I had to rebuild my self-esteem, my self-worth. I had to really put that little one at ease and peace. Yeah.
So if it sounds like you're doing this, but if you could look back and teach your little girl differently, what would you have done with her differently as a child?
I would have given her attention.
Mhm.
I would have sat down with her and asked her how her day was. I would have done her hair. I would have made her feel beautiful.
I definitely believe that trauma can occur in any family, any childhood, if the child doesn't feel safe and loved. and just by, as you said, brushing your hair and saying, "How was your day?" is helping a child feel safe and loved.
Yes. Yes. And she probably would need a little more attention. I understand that, you know, and I would most likely, obviously, I dedicated a bedroom to her in my home,
Love that.
and some artwork as well, but just reinforcing that love. So I make that, I do the best job I can with my son. Evan, much as I can, as busy as he is with school and baseball, I check in with him, text message at the end of the night when he comes in. I'm like, Bud, how'd you do? How was your day? Good night. I love you. Because at this point, I'm entering that chapter of where he's going to be going off to college. Yeah.
How are you about that?
I am so proud of him. I am so proud of him. And I hope that he realizes at some point that everything that I've done was in order to protect him and to grow him into the man that he will be. Yeah.
Do you think he understands? I mean, he's young now. Do you think he understands that now, or do you think it's something that will come in the future?
I think it'll be in the future. I think he's got some hiccups that, he's going to go through. Um, but yes, I can't say I'm more proud of my son. He's so not me, which is amazing.
What does that mean?
He's, well, I was a high school dropout. He is so focused on Division I baseball,
Mhm.
and he's got the grades and the talent.
Mhm.
I know that at some point I will see him on the mound at Wrigley Field.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's so blessed to have a mother like you,
Yeah, we sacrifice a lot, right? As moms.
but it sounds like you're okay with it. It's not
Yeah,
sacrifice. It doesn't sound like it's a sacrifice that you're saying. It's just that we do things for our children.
absolutely. Whatever it takes.
Yep. And it also sounds like you're able, though, then to let him fly, that he'll know you're there when he needs you, but you want him to soar.
He's doing a really good job at
Good.
it. He's advocating for himself so well, so mature. Yes.
So, is there anything you would like to add about your trader within before we close?
My traitor within, like you stated earlier, they will always be a part of us. I think if we could get across the messaging that recognizing and developing some healthy skills and self-soothing them is by far one of the most important things.
Mhm.
And then, letting your wings out and fly, becoming the best authentic version of who you are. Yes.
Wonderful. Because our trader within, we can have compassion because he, she, our trader within is part of us. And I truly believe have had good intentions. It wants to help, but its focus isn't always, for me, my trader within's focus was to have me not feel abandoned, but would do anything in order not to feel abandoned. But while she was doing that, she put me in dangerous situations, emotionally and physically, um,
Mm.
in order to not feel abandoned. So she wasn't helping me by doing that. But her intention was good. Her intention was very narrowly focused, very much tunnel vision. Oh, so I feel compassion toward her. I thank her
Hmm.
for trying to help me, but she's not helpful. She's that friend that maybe tries to help and has really bad advice. So
But I love just how you just stated that. Yeah, I like that because they do want to help, but you
Mhm.
you have to have that compassion.
It's part of us.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
us, not our whole being at all. It's a small
mm,
part of us. Hopefully,
yeah.
it's bigger at times. Hopefully now it's a small piece of us that we have to
Yes.
say to our friend, thank you for the advice, but I'm not going to follow it because it's not good advice for me now.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay in my lane.
It's